Welcome. In this video, I'm going to do a worked example of a development section that would give to S1 pupils near the start of the S1 year. The main thing we try and get through to the pupils about development is we're looking to try and explore and refine our idea at this stage. Now, define those wordings a little bit harder, so I try and encourage them when they think about exploring as to think about investigating different things. Investigating the product's function, investigating the aesthetics, and investigating, in this case, the manufacture, and if there was more detail to this project, the assembly of the project as well. We also want to think about refining as making decisions as we go. So for the pupils, I like them to explore the function and then make a decision on how the function is going to work. Explore the aesthetics and then make a decision on how the aesthetics would work. When I teach out development, I try and get the pupils to lay the page out in a similar fashion. So we're going to start by writing a list, function, aesthetics and manufacture, and we're going to add some notes beside each heading here to make it easier for us to understand as we go through. When we start to develop, I'm going to encourage the pupils to communicate their thoughts. There's been many examples of people doing development and just doing it inside the head, but it's really important that pupils understand that they're trying to communicate their thoughts as they do this. So I'm going to encourage them to work in a bit like a backwards S sort of fashion. I'm going along here and along that direction with my sketches and my annotations as I go. So the first thing we need to think about in this case for this project is where the hole position is going to go. So if I just state my drawing here, we can quickly sketch in the shape once more. So it looks something like that. And we need to think about which position is best for the key fob. If I was to drill a hole in this position here, one of the issues would be that this piece of acrylic here, each side would be more likely to break. It won't be very strong. So I can put the hole position here. However, I'm just going to put a little annotation here that it's likely to break. When we're thinking about each of these parts here, we're looking to identify an issue. In this case, where is the hole going to go? And I'm looking for the pupils to try and think up maybe 3 or 4 different alternatives. So alternative 2 could be something like this. So the second place I might be putting the hole will be think about across here. And actually this is quite an interesting position to put it. This looks a bit like a bird shape just about as I'm starting to draw it. Potentially a shape, even though the shape was randomly produced, which makes me think this could be like an eye position, which makes it a bit more of an animal shape. So I'm going to put a little annotation here. Thinking about the pros and cons each time. So one of the good things is more plastic around this part here, so it's going to be certainly stronger. And it's looks like an eye. Again, the third alternative, so I'm going to sketch the shape out once more. There we are. Pupils do find this a little bit harder to try and keep the same shape as they go in this stage. Another alternative would be to put it at the bottom. Again, if we're going to draw or put it there, it would make the shape feel different. The key fob, the key ring would go through something like this. So again, it's another issue, another thing to think about. Certainly no good thing about it is it's going to be strong, lots of plastic there. And it's going to allow the key position-wise. So the key has got lots of movement. Lots of space for the key. Now once the pupils have come up with 3 alternatives, I'm looking for them to now refine this idea. So I'm looking for them to now start and put some decisions on this. This to make it easier for the pupils to see the steps. I like them to draw a box to begin with. put the title decision in there and tell us which alternative or which position you like the best. So I'm going to say I like the second idea, as it looks like a bird. And what we've done is we've looked at the function of the product, in this case looking at the problem of where to position the hole. We've thought about exploring, so investigating our design. We're trying out 3 alternatives, annotating our designs with some information as we go, and then we've refined our idea by adding a decision in as we go. The next thing we want to look at is the aesthetics. For the aesthetics part, I want to say to the person looking at this that they're going to look at aesthetics. So I'm going to write here, I am going to look at aesthetics. And the first problem I want to think about is playing with the shape. I will start by exploring the shape. So at the moment in time, this is my favourite design, so I'm going to start by drawing that in place. And one of the things we want to encourage the pupils at this stage is, because we've done function, it doesn't mean to say that we forget about it. It's a bit like spinning plates here. We've got function going, we've got the plate spinning on top of a stick just about. If we don't go back to it, that plate will fall and smash. So the idea is we're going to do aesthetics, but also we're going to keep thinking about the function as well. If I change the shape and it makes this position of the hole no longer viable, I need to be prepared to come back and look at function once more. And likewise, when I get to manufacture, I'll need to do the same thing about aesthetics and function. So in this case here, there's my design just here. What I'm looking at to do is explore the design further. So I'm going to continue with the idea of a bird shape, which has come to mind, and I'm going to start by adding some detail to this. So I'm going to think about making this a larger tail feather. And I'm looking to just change the shape, the main thing in this case, to try and see if I can make the design look better. And as I say, I'm thinking about a bird shape as I'm drawing this. One of the things I'd encourage the pupils at this stage would be to look at some of the research as they've done this. So we could go back and do further research, in this case because I've got an idea of a bird in my mind, to look at some shapes of birds as I'm doing this. Again, I'll maybe make the eye in the same place as there. So it's very similar, but hopefully a bit more of a bird shape there. And again, I can go even further. So I'm looking for, like before, 3 alternatives. And let's play with and make the eye maybe a bit more of a eye shape there. Again, as I'm sketching these out, I'm wanting to try and think about the pros and cons. So I'm looking to tell the person what I've done, and then looking to try and think about what's good or bad about it. So again, I've been playing with the shapes. I've gone here, I've got one more alternative to go. So 1, 2, third one to go. And in this one here, I'm thinking that maybe just focus on like a bird's head, for example. Once I've thought of 3 alternatives, I'm looking to annotate them to think about what's good about each one. What's certainly good about this idea here is we have limited plastic, so this will be a larger shaped key fob. These ones are quite angular, so in this case here, this is meant to be the wing of the bird in flight, and this is its tail. On here, this is quite angular, which wouldn't be very good if it was acrylic because it's likely to go to break. What I'm looking to do is, again, make a decision. And the one I quite like the best here is actually the second one here. So I like option 2 in this case, because I like the fluid motion it appears to give. Okay, nearly there. What we're going to look at last of all is the manufacture. Now the pupils, before they do this project, would usually get a taste of the tools that would use to manufacture this project. So the idea is they've already had a shot of using things like the coping saw or the files to get an idea of what they can achieve. So what we'll be looking for them to do is now apply that experience to the manufacturing side. So again, I'm going to talk about, or start to say that I am now going to at the manufacturer. Actually, getting the pupils to write comments is quite a challenging aspect in this one. What I do try to get across to the pupils is that it's looking to get their thoughts down on a page, so the comments will be something we definitely need to work on in class. So looking to get a look at the manufacturer side of it, so I'm going to start by drawing my shape it once more. And at this stage here, I'm just looking for the pupils to maybe annotate this design, to think about how they could actually make it. There we are. So making this design, it's relatively quite straightforward to make here. So first of all, I would be able to cut the shape fairly easily using the coping saw. This would be the most difficult shape here to make, but I could make that by drilling a hole and then shaping with a needle file. The only issues I would have would be on the end points here. These edges are rather sharp, so one of the things I need to think about doing is rounding these edges slightly to avoid them breaking. Due to it being acrylic, and acrylic is quite brittle. The next step would be for the pupils to then take this design and apply it to a template. Now, I don't have the template for this example here. However, one of the things is we want to make sure, so we're going through the top here, that it fits to the plastic. So I'm just going to gently sketch in a rectangle shape here, because that's the size of the plastic the pupils get. And what we kind of want to do is make sure that we can fit this shape to this proportion. So I'll be looking just to try and transfer things on. Put a dot just here, dot just here, and it's going to kind of curve like that. And as you can see, it fits the proportion of the rectangle quite well. I'm just going to shade round about the sides so you can, or crosshatch round about the sides so you can see the shape a bit clearer. And this is the shape the pupils will then take forward to then make a template and then move into the workshop to manufacture.